to Inside the Salesforce Ecosystem, where we dive deep with the leaders, experts, and innovators shaping the future of Salesforce. I'm your host, Luke White, and in every episode, we explore the unique journeys, challenges, and insights of those driving success in the ecosystem. Today, I'm joined with David Boukhors, CEO of Cloud Girafe. Now, after 15 years of experience in CRM and over a decade specializing in Salesforce, David founded Cloud Girafe with a clear mission, helping companies maximize the value of their Salesforce investment. So let's dive into David's stories, his expertise in rescuing projects, and how Cloud Girafe is making a difference in the Salesforce world. So, David, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Luke. So thank you for inviting me. So I'm heavily specialized in CRM. This is all my life, in fact. Before Salesforce, I was expert in Siebel. This is an Oracle
Yes,
product.
yeah.
It used to be the top one CRM in the world. And then I switched the technology to go to Salesforce. And then since 2011. I've been working on Salesforce since 2011, so it's been a long time now. And I'm heavily specialized in automating things. In fact, myself as a CEO now, because before I was a freelancer and now I'm a CEO. What I really like in this job is the way we automate things. In fact, we take a process and then we think about it and we find a way to to automate, to make things clear, to know what you do. And sometimes even when a business is rolling fine, when you have a correct business, the problem is that if you don't automate, you are going to get tired because you have to think about what you are doing. So even if you do it well, if it's not processed, if you have no automation, you can lose time and you can get tired. And of course, you have the problem with the HR because you can have some turnover. So if the process are not written and are not automated, you can lose your expertise, you can lose your knowledge, uh, and even your strength. You can lose your strength just because of that. So I find it quite important.
No, absolutely, absolutely. No, it's very true. So let's go back a little bit then. So obviously you said Siebel first, and then into Salesforce in 2011. So what happened to get you to start Cloud Giraffe, move from that freelancer role into being the CEO of Cloud Giraffe?
Yeah, that's quite a story. In fact, when I was a freelancer, I liked the challenges. I wanted to do uh, complex project, and I found out that there was a lot of IT project that had difficulties. So either it can be a problem with the budget, a problem with the scope, a problem with the delay, and I realized that it happens very often. And I don't know if it's the French culture or not, but we don't like to talk about the failure. It's always so we do things like rescoping, adding more budget, etc. Finding a way to find some excuses to change the story, but in the fact there are more than 50% projects that have difficulties, that are not on scope, etc., are not on budget. So I decided, as a challenge for myself, in fact, to specialize in this kind of project. So uh, in French, we say you act like a firework. I don't know how to say it in English, but you always come to as a rescuer, in fact, on the project, and you have to find a way to be back on track. So I made this for a few years. And why did I create Cloud Giraffe? In fact, I had then another issue because when you do this kind of thing, you come, you do your best to improve the situation, but then when it's over, you have to go because when the situation goes back to normal, when the situation goes back to normal, you can't stay because it will be too expensive. And the way you do things when you are in the urgency is not the same when you are in a normal situation. So this is why I decided to create a company so I can have other people that can take the project when I finish with the bad thing, with the hard thing. And so we do maintenance, support, and I can help my customer on the long term, with a real vision.
No, absolutely. It's a great story. So that's fantastic. So let's go back a step further. How did you get into working in the Siebel side? So how did you get starting in the CRM industry to begin with?
So can you repeat? Excuse me.
Yeah, no, how did you get into the CRM industry before you started? Obviously, you
Ah,
started with Siebel, but how did you get into that start?
to be honest, this is just. In fact, it is. How do you say? It's random. It's not. It's.
Okay.
It's. I don't know how you say in English. It's. It's not a real decision. In fact, when I was at school, I was very good at math.
Yeah.
So I decided to become an engineer because in the French system, when you are good at math, you can do special studies and you can become an engineer. So I was a general engineer, you
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
And in reality, I could build bridges. I
Yeah.
could work on this kind of thing. I could do finance, etc. But I chose IT because I had the impression that in IT it goes fast. When you work on a bridge, it can take years, and sometimes when you build big things, sometimes you will not even see the result of your work,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it takes a lot of time. And I decided to go on IT because I thought that it is fast project, so in a few months you can see the result, etc. So this is why I decided this. And in fact, in class we have some teachers that come from the enterprise world. So, and I had this teacher, Christophe Ritano. He had his own company, and he was specialized in CRM in cyber. So
Mm.
that's just how do you say in rencontre. I just
Just a coincidence almost, or
Yeah,
just a happenstance. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a coincidence. And then this was my first job with Christoph. Then after that, I became a freelancer, and I always stayed in this specialty, always on the CRM.
Yeah.
And what is fine with this job, what is interesting with this job is that I see a lot of CEOs, because at the
Yeah.
beginning, when I started my journey, I was working for big companies, like L'Oreal, etc. But when you work for big companies, you don't see the real
Mm.
CEO. You can see
No.
the real strategy of the company. And then I shifted to small companies so I can work directly with the VP of sales, with the CEO, with the CTO, etc. So I can see the real impact of the CRM on the company,
No, absolutely, and that's the good thing. So we talked a little bit about Cloud Giraffe coming in, and obviously, and you mentioned as a freelancer trying to sort of help Salesforce projects that have hit challenges, etc. But what are the most common challenges you see when you're working with Salesforce projects that are in trouble? What do you typically see?
Yeah, I wrote some article on that, but I saw that there are some problem that occurs very often. You have a management issue because it's hard when you have the relation between the integrator and the customer. Sometimes the integrator want to say something, but since the people in charge are not skilled enough or are not old enough, etc., they don't have enough power in the situation. They are not really listened to. And I saw also many projects that failed because of the agile methodology. Because
Mm.
you remember a few years before, everybody was talking about Scrum, Agile, etc. But nowadays, it's we don't talk much about this. And in fact, for me, an IT project is complex. And even
Mm.
Salesforce, which is a very nice tool, you can do everything. This is low code, this is endless possibilities. The problem is that in fine, it is still complicated. And you have to make a real project. You have to do your committees, you have to do specification, you have to validate. I see many projects where the validation is not real. You have an oral yes or okay, it's fine. Oh, then the screen, okay, we will change the screen later, because the technology is so easy to change. You think that,
Mhm.
okay, we will see this later, but it is very important. It is very important to know which field is mandatory, at which moment you will enter the value. You have to write down the rules. It's not just something you can decide during a meeting with no real existence in the real process. And I think there's a lack of validation and a lack of project methodology. This is why I always use the waterfall project methodology. I
Mhm.
don't do agile anymore, only waterfall, because it is really rigorous. You know what you do, it's validated, and if there is a conflict, everything is written,
Yeah.
it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that sometimes, yeah, people don't always think of the bigger picture when trying to build it. Because I guess to your point, you're correct that it is easy to make changes, but obviously those changes then have knock-on effects as you go through as well. So no, interesting. So moving on to talk about some of your customers and clients, etc. So obviously you work across many different sectors, sort of
Yeah.
luxury brands, local SMEs. Do you adapt your approach differently to a different industry?
That's a very good question, and that's very particular to our company. At the beginning, we were not specialized to any industry, but with the time, I know that we have some specialization in the SaaS companies. Every company that sells SaaS product, when you have CPQ, etc., this kind of thing. So uh, we are very specialized in working with product catalog, marketing offer, etc. But in fact, the adaptation is more nowadays between the high tech companies when you have. It depends on who you have in front of you. Uh, if if the customer already have kind of admin or someone who is really tech, and if they really think about the process before doing the project, you have this one kind of how do you say, one kind of approach for this kind of
Yeah.
customer. And it's different when you work with non-profit organization. This is uh, another kind of organization. So I know that I have to the priority are different, so you have to adapt to this kind of project. uh, and I know that in some industry like the luxury, you have to be very, very rigorous. You have you cannot do any mistake. They are, how to say, they are very strict and
Very
uh,
particular about their
parts.
brand. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, because that's almost what they said is their brand, and that's why it's so important that stays the center focus of everything that they're doing. So yeah, so they're very interesting as well. So talking a little bit about Salesforce in the future. So obviously we know that Salesforce is constantly evolving. But what do you see in the future that's going to help, do you think, customers really maximize their return of investment in Salesforce?
yeah. Anyway, Salesforce nowadays, when you install it well, when you do what you have to do on your process, when you really do the real project, you always have a return on investment. You automate things. It's enormous. I've seen companies where they gain 30%, 40% productivity, so they can increase their margin. They can use less employees, etc. So it's always the case, but nowadays, we know that Salesforce uh, is really focusing on the AI with Agentforce. So they see a real opportunity to increase the productivity with agent. And I think I'm glad that Salesforce make this shift. It's very important because if they didn't do it in a few years, they would be completely what you say
left behind.
left
Yeah.
behind. They would be left behind if they didn't do it. So it's important to do it. And I see a shift now in the data, the importance of the data. Salesforce is just acquired Informatica. It's very recent, a few days before, and so they really need, they really want to have access to all the data and to structure it, to use data cloud, Agentforce, etc. So they really want to be the company that increase productivity. This is their goal.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. So I think what AI and what Agent Force has done as well has actually led a bigger talking point as well, because data, that's the most important. So agents or the AI is fantastic, but it relies on data. So if your data is
Yeah,
not correct, or you don't have enough data, then the agents are sort of useless to a certain
exactly.
extent, because they need that data. So are you now seeing with the AI and with Agent Force, are you having more conversations with customers about data, and maybe data cloud, but just data is as a whole now?
Yeah, exactly. There is more project about auditing what is done, about cleaning the data, the duplicate, but also about the process when how to do your knowledge base, for example.
Mhm.
Because it is mandatory before starting an AI project, you have to be completely sure of your process, and you must have clean data. You cannot what you say improvise. You cannot improvise with AI.
No. Yeah, it's relying on data. It just reads data. It's not. It can't go and find it all in multiple places. It's got to go and find it where it's looking for it, for sure. So, no, that's interesting. So, talk to me a little bit about, do you have any sort of personal values or philosophies that guide you when you're working with customers and companies to help them unlock their true potential? So, we're talking about waterfall, but what other approaches do you have in order to get their potential from the investment in Salesforce?
I'm always glad when I see someone invest in Salesforce because I know that's a tough decision because
Mm.
the tool is expensive. Salesforce is expensive with the licensing, is very expensive with the project. You also have a cost, an internal cost because your employee will not be available for their real business. I'm always impressed when I do my quotation when my customer really insist on the impact, the internal impact on their employee. It shows that they really understand the impact of the CRM. And for me, that's a real choice. So my philosophy is I always make myself, how do you say, excuse me, I need to translate. Just okay,
Available? Yeah.
hold on. I always put myself in the CEO's shoes. I
Okay.
always
Yeah.
try to do it because I know this is an investment and you cannot just give the key to the integrator and let him do everything. So it needs a real implication of both the customer and the integrator. So my philosophy is that we are in the same boat. What I see when I do a project, it is the project itself, but I need the KPI. So very early in the project, I identify the KPI with the customer. I I always ask a way to measure it,
Yeah.
to take values of this KPI, to see the improvement, and to be able to create a real success story. It's important to know what we've done with this project, but it's also important for other people because they are asking themselves, should I take Salesforce or not? So they need real figures.
Absolutely. So I think it's important. I think, yeah, and putting yourself in their shoes, it almost makes it feel like it's your business you're helping there as well, which then has a different outlook on what you're trying to achieve and be successful in. So I think that's a really good philosophy to have, for sure. Now, I would be amiss having you on the podcast and not asking you about the partnership with us here at PDF Butler. So, how has that partnership gone with PDF Butler, and how have the clients found working with PDF Butler as well?
Yeah, for me, the document generation, the electronic signature, they are key in the processes. You cannot use a CRM without creating your own document. The document, they have to be homogeneous among the company. You have you cannot write things down, manually, etc. It's not good. And it's important to have forms. I like form butlers because when you have someone outside your company who is writing down data and entering into your system, you always gain productivity. It is outside of your company. So for me, this is key in almost all our quotation. We always put the document generation part, electronic signature part, and why I choose PDF Butler is for various reasons. It's because the tool works fast, it's fast. And you have a very good support. You get your answer very fast. And in many situations, I saw that the support was modify things in the environment. They help you. They really help you because for many tools, the support just answer and they tell you you have to do this, etc. But they can change your document. When you have a too heavy document, we are working on Mac OS. We don't have Windows, and for some manipulation, you need Windows to reduce the size of the images, etc. So they help us on this. And I also like PDF Butler because it can generate PPT,
Yeah.
PowerPoint files. So not only quotation, invoice, document, but you can create your own uh, PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for the kind words. And I think we often hear about how good the support is, and they are the superheroes behind the
Yeah.
scenes at our
Yeah.
PDF Butler for sure. That keeps everyone happy and everyone up and running. So yeah, they are the superheroes here. So I'll make sure to pass on those kind words to the support team as well, because they're very proud of what they do, and we like to keep it that way. And that's our challenge a little bit. I probably mentioned on previous podcasts is to try to keep that level of support whilst we grow as a company as well is a challenge, but something that we're very keen to do as well. So now I want to dig in a bit actually and try to get some of your experience into advice. So, what advice would you give someone who is just about to start their career in the Salesforce ecosystem?
The advice. Uh, you Today, it's different because you have trailhead. When I
Yeah.
started, there was just a few documentation. It was hard. Now you have trailhead. You can easily create your own environment, so you can test a lot of things on your own. And you can attend to webinars and online lessons. So now it's very easy to practice and to learn. My advice would be to be very curious about the AI and just to think about helping people. When you work in this industry, your goal is to make something that work and something that help people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, solid advice. Well, and that curiosity is definitely a key point to talk about. And yeah, there's no point sort of not thinking AI is going to hang around. It definitely is. So
Ah, yeah.
embrace it, and get ahead of it. We're at a position where everyone's at a level playing field with AI to a point, but soon, if you're not involved, you're going to get left behind. I
Yeah.
think very quickly because it changes all the time. So, as we begin to wind down, last question really now. As a busy CEO, David, work-life balance may be quite tricky, but outside of work, how do you try to maintain that work-life balance? And sort of what do you do in your free time that isn't Cloud Giraffe or helping customers?
Yeah, nice question. In a few hours, I'm going to play squash.
Okay.
I
Yep.
love this sport. I do it a lot, and I'm inviting a friend. It will be very nice. And I also play chess. I like to play
Okay.
chess.
Yeah.
It's funny, but and I also play video games. I like this kind of video games when it's very fast. I don't like long story video games. Just fast video game. You can play in 10 minutes and then you go something like so. He helps you. Reduce the stress.
Yeah.
When you are very pissed off with something, you just
Yeah.
play and that's it. So I do this, and to keep it balanced, even with the employees, uh, we offer the gym, how do you say, the gym
Membership.
subscription, yeah,
Yeah,
gym membership. And we do some event where we can share, we can have fun. All people in the company, they like to play board game, so
yeah,
we do some activities like that, and sometimes some sport activity with some challenges between the team. We had a kind of a squid game recently, it was very
yeah.
funny.
Oh, fantastic. That's really good. Yeah. And I think especially in our jobs where we spend a fair amount of our time sat down, the sport and exercise definitely is an important part. So yeah, the squash is definitely a challenging game. And
Yeah.
will yeah, definitely a challenging game. Well, David, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Fantastic to chat to you. Always great. And we look forward to continuing to work with you. But yeah, like I said, thank you very much for your time. And yeah, we'll see you around soon.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's always a pleasure.